Well, in the last few days, I've been pretty busy, but I'm finally getting some more work done here. I got all the film caps under the center part of the chassis replaced. And while I had it apart, I went ahead and installed the rubber grommets from Radio Days, which I got in the mail a couple of days ago. So those are all in place. Right there. And got the whole top assembly reassembled. And next is the one black bakelite capacitor. And inside this is going to go two of these what are called orange drop capacitors. Right there. And in order to get that out, we have to, I'm going to use a heat gun and soften that tar that's in there and just push it out, and then install the new capacitors. Before pushing it out though, need to clear out the solder in those three holes there so we can cut the wires that go to the capacitors that are inside, and then we'll be able to heat it up and push it out once those wires are cut. So here we go. Got to melt the solder here a little bit. Okay, hopefully that'll allow us to push that out once the tar is warmed up. Okay, I've got my heat gun here. We're going to warm that up, and I have a small screwdriver I can use to stick through this hole where one of the leads comes out and hopefully push the tar block out. Now that hole wasn't big enough for me to get that screwdriver in, so I need to enlarge it a little bit. Well, that one was stubborn. I wound up having to scrape it out, as you can see. But it's all out, and I should be able to get the new capacitors in there as soon as I clear these holes. Okay, it's ready to have the new capacitors installed. So the paperwork shows this capacitor as being 2.015 microfarad capacitors going between contacts 1 and 2 right here, and 1 and 3. We'll stick one leg in 3 and one leg in 1. That hole is big enough to get the other leg through. And it's not, so we gotta enlarge that hole a little bit. Okay, and you just want to make sure that legs of the capacitors don't short on the number 2 contact. And you're seated in there. Then we flip it around. And bend the contact around the pin there. Do the same over here. Two over here, which are connected to ground once the capacitor is screwed back into the chassis. Drop some solder on here. Snip off the excess. And it's done. It's ready to be reinstalled in the chassis. Don't need to refill that because these modern capacitors are sealed, unlike the older ones that had to be covered in tar. Okay, this black bakelite capacitor is back in place. All the connections are still good.